Okay, so here was something. You were at Politicon, and I'm curious about this because Ben Shapiro was there, and he didn't actually do any debates, and you didn't get to actually do any 1v1 debates with anyone. And you sort of, I saw you talk about on one of your, it was like an update video about Politicon because you had to make a bunch of them. That there were these people who were sort of chickening out. I mean, are there any names that you can sort of divulge about who backed out?
Oh, Sam Seder has since gone public with that, and Steven Crowder backed out of a debate with him.
Right, and was that the only person who did that outside of Candace Owens? And
Yeah, so I mean, as far as I now have been told, Candace had, from what I'm told, Candace didn't back out. She had never accepted, and it was communicated to Kyle Kalinske and to me that we had a debate set with her and Charlie Kirk. The current story, as they tell it, is that they never had actually accepted, and thus it would be unfair to say they backed out if that's accurate.
okay, and I was just curious since we're talking about Politicon. I was curious, how do you feel about? I almost want to say like the way they set it up, because I don't feel like it's all that great when there were like almost 2 weeks left, which is not very long, and people didn't know who they were doing debates with.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is that they have this really difficult thing they're trying to do, which is to make the most interesting panels and debates happen while getting a lot of situations where people are conditionally willing to do something if X or Y other person either is or is not involved. So there's just a ton of situations where they think they get conditional agreement for a 4-person panel from 3 people. Person number 4 then says, I really can't be on with person number 2. So they say, okay, we'll replace person number 4 with a different person. And then person number 1 goes, I like the original lineup, but I don't want to appear with the person you've put in now. So they have this really difficult thing because they're dealing with a lot of people with personalities and egos. So it would be great if everything could just be more fine-tuned way ahead of time. But when you consider people's ego and then travel changes and the fact that, any of the 100 or so or more people who are participating could have like an emergency or something like that, I get why it's so complicated, but it's not great from the point of view of the participant.
That makes sense. I see what you're saying. That sounds very very tough. I was curious what was your experience like at Politicon for yourself? I know that you were on multiple panels. I know that you were on the Should We Be Socialist panel as well as the fake news panel. I like if you could just give like sort of a breakdown of your experience at Politicon.
Overall, it was a good experience. I mean, the thing is that there are a lot of extreme people that go, because if you just think for a second, obviously this doesn't apply to everybody, but if you are sort of willing and interested in spending money to fly for some people across the country, or people even came from Australia, and it was great to meet fans from Australia, there's nothing wrong with it, but to see people argue about politics rather than just watching the videos online or reading articles, you're probably engaged in a way that most people are not. And for some people, that is completely fine and great and sort of normal. But there were a lot of extremists there who are sort of on the edges of the political spectrum. So that environment can be a little bit difficult, because you kind of constantly feel as though there could be some kind of violent incident at any time. And in fact, with some of my panelists, we were speaking backstage about sort of moments during different panels where it wasn't clear whether someone was kind of getting a little bit out of hand, or it could become potentially even a dangerous situation. But they had a lot of security and for the most part managed it pretty well. But the environment is one of high political tension for sure.
So I'm curious because I know that you said on a video, I believe it was the bonus show, I think you said that you were at the the Charlie Kirk and Hassan Piker debate, and you saw that the sort of breakout that Charlie Kirk had at Jank. Were you there in person for that, or did you see that on video?
No, I was only there for about 10 minutes in the first, I guess I'd say, half hour of the debate, and I had left before the Jank Charlie Kirk thing happened, so I only saw it on video later.
Well, what were your thoughts on that sort of breakout?
Well, I think that Charlie Kirk is trying to get attention, and he knew that if he immediately stands up and starts yelling off the stage at Cenk, that it would get attention, and it did. The substance of the debate, of the question that was being discussed, seemed kind of dumb to me. It started getting into different people asking others how much money they make, and I guess Charlie Kirk saw a connection between, well, if you are arguing for socialism, then your salary is sort of materially relevant in some way, versus Charlie Kirk is a capitalist, so however much money he makes is not relevant or open to criticism. It seemed very stupid, and it didn't really go to the merits of any political ideology.